Welcome, everybody, to Funeral Nation episode 102. I'm Ryan Thogmartin. That is the Funeral Commander Harbison. And this is another Change Makers episode. The guy we have on is really moving and shaking and making waves, and they're doing a lot of great things in the profession. So, Jeff, it's 2018. We've been killing it so far this year. Just another week. What do we got going on?
I think some of the big news that we've been having going on here is the live. We had a live show with the tax seminar just last week. In fact, I'm going to send you a link to post there on connecting directors. But there's some laws that have made a big difference to funeral home owners, and they really need to pay attention to it. And so it can save a lot of money, and frankly, they can put more money in their pocket, but they have to understand how it works. So if it's all right, I'll send you a link.
For sure.
That they can get that live interview. How about in your world?
Yeah, in our world, we've been living with the Facebook changes that were announced about 10 days ago. Facebook is changing the way that they're showing content in the newsfeed. There's going to be less business content, more content from friends and family. However, Facebook is going to favor content that creates conversation. So really the driver of this is, one, there's been a lot of fake news issues that have come out since the election that Facebook has been working through and figuring out how do they police what goes on Facebook. And then a lot of brands are posting content based solely on getting a comment or reaction. So a lot of meme-based funny things that just don't add value. And so Facebook did a test. Consumers, as they left Facebook, even though they were engaging a lot and spending more time on Facebook, they were less satisfied leaving Facebook, and they were most satisfied when they got content that was really tailored for them. So by reducing the amount of junk that appears in the newsfeed from businesses, it's going to make businesses have to create content that is more valuable, because if they don't get engagement and create conversation, then they're going to have to pay to play. And Facebook's really pay to play already. It's just going to cost a lot more because they're making everybody buy ads. So I fully believe that there's a lot of funeral homes, specifically kind of in our client base, we've been preparing our clients for this for over a year. The funeral homes that buy just bucketed content, they're going to be hit the hardest, and they're going to be wasting money. So super important to make sure that content is created on conversation and driving user engagement versus, hey, we really want to say this, let's just put it out and have disregard for the consumer. So that has been what has consumed our world for the last week and a half. And we've got a live webinar coming up on March 27th. We expect a few more changes come through the pipeline from Facebook over the next month and a half. So we're going to have a webinar in March where we're going to outline all those changes and what funeral homes need to do to win on Facebook.
Well, something, this show is a prime example, but webinars, bringing news up, people out there. One of the things that Funeral Nation really prides ourselves on is bringing content and information to folks that don't get to go to conventions or meetings and that sort of thing. So the live webinars, I think, are going to continue. Obviously, we are here at the Foresight Companies. I know you are there at Disrupt. And speaking of disrupting and doing a great job, let's talk about C&J and Jamie with his company.
What payment method do you prefer families use for your goods and services? Most funeral homes and cemeteries prefer cash, check, or credit card over life insurance as the preferred method of payment. However, families who use life insurance are able to purchase the funeral service of their choice and spend 31% more on your goods and services. By encouraging more families to pay with insurance, you can create a better experience for the family and become more profitable without increasing your call volume. The reason most firms prefer cash, check, or credit card over life insurance is that insurance companies are a hassle to deal with, and payment can often take weeks or months to receive. With C&J Financial, you can receive funding within 24 hours of verification of benefit, thereby eliminating the hassle, headache, and cash flow delay in processing insurance death claims. Let us show you why hundreds of funeral homes all across America choose C&J for their assignment funding needs, and why many associations, accounting firms, and industry leaders recommend C&J to their clients and members.
Fantastic. We're really super blessed to have Jamie and C&J Financial as our title sponsor, big supporters. So we love those guys, and they're doing a great job and helping a lot of funeral homes. All right, Jeff, we're making this a Changemakers episode. Why don't you tell us who's coming up on our interview segment?
I'm really excited. Again, change makers are people who are having a voice and making a difference in our industry. And so I'm excited to introduce Tim Bridgers, who's with Live Oak Bank. So let's go ahead and roll his interview. Tim, welcome to the Funeral Nation TV show.
Oh, thank you, guys. Thanks for allowing me to be a part.
Hey, man, we're glad that you're here. You look kind of cool, like a pilot, or, you're working something with the headphones on. So that's to the mystique
like
and the legend, man. You look good on that.
Hey, you gotta do it sometimes. You just got to be the call center every once in a while.
I understand. Hey, look, share with us a little about yourself and Live Oak Bank.
Absolutely. I come from a small business background, studied finance. From my small business background, I found a passion in helping small business owners improve the way they operate business outside of lending money. That's a big part of us here at Live Oak Bank, very entrepreneurial minded, and very focused on specific industries to help them grow, manage their businesses better, and ultimately ensure their success.
Excellent. Well, tell us a little bit kind of about Live Oak. What's Live Oak do? Who are you guys?
Yeah, so we're a bit different as a bank than most banks that you'll see. From day one, we were verticalized with a vision to become an expert in a particular industry and profession. So here at Live Oak Bank, we have multiple verticals that specialize in that, and we're growing every day. So we're 16 plus industries right now and growing, it seems like, every day. And each of those industries, we have a team dedicated to that industry to learn the ins and outs. And that's the goal of that, is to be able to talk the language, to understand their needs, and to provide solutions to those needs from a financial perspective. So we do all kinds of things. We lend money conventionally. We lend it through the SBA products, to the USDA products, and we're constantly designing financial solutions to meet the needs of these industries as well.
Yeah, in fact, I think we'll address that here in just a few minutes, SBA and some solutions that I've seen you guys do. But in the interim, I have a question. The average funeral home owner is over 65 years old, and that means that we're facing quite an ownership transfer in the next few years. How's Live Oak position yourself and your team to assist with these transactions?
You're right on. 65% of our production last year was related to acquisitions, and a high percentage of those were related to succession. We try to help beyond, again, just lending money. Jeff, we've hung out together many times. Ryan, we've seen you or speaking kind of on the same circuit, and helping owners realize that they cannot wait to the last minute to begin planning for succession. They have to start thinking about this 3 to 5 years out. They have to start looking at, one, their personal needs, and then they have to compare that to what the business is going to provide them upon sale.
Right. I'll follow up a little bit on that. I think that you quoted some famous guy while you're in Nashville about that, where, selling your funeral home, deciding the day to sell your funeral home is like deciding the day of a marathon not to run it. Wasn't that some kind of famous quote that you had there?
Yeah, his last name was Harbison. I haven't shook his hand yet, but
my cousin lives in South Carolina. But you're exactly right. The day that you decide to sell your funeral home or put your plan into place, there's a lot more to be done ahead of that. And so, anyway, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, it's a big deal. So, I mean, we highly recommend folks to reach out to us or contact folks. Obviously, Jeff, you're connected with folks that can help as well. And we recommend that 3 to 5 years out. It's a very important step for the future of the business.
Excellent. Well, Tim, I understand that a SBA loan is the best route for a funeral home loan. Why so?
The majority of what we do last year was SBA related loans, and that's simply because the SBA can provide long-term, fully amortizing loans up to 25 years. And if we know anything about the funeral business, we know that call volume can shift And obviously the owner can experience those cycles of low call volume months or quarters and even low volume years due to death rate shifts. So the longer fully amortizing loans can create a little bit more cash flow flexibility for the owner, and that's important. So that's one major thing. The other, in 2017 and prior, the SBA, helped these small business owners get into the business without a lot of equity. And that's still the case. There have been a few changes coming into 2018 with the SBA requirements around the money needed to buy business, the equity. And despite the fact that some of those things were changed, for the most part, it still is a much more affordable way to get into a business and acquire a business without a lot of equity.
Well, it's interesting you share that. Your team successfully assisted my team recently in a transfer purchase of some young folks buying a funeral home. And because of the strength of the financials of the funeral home and your ability to tailor something to it, we successfully closed that. So would you give some ideas or just some things for funeral directors that would like to perhaps purchase and some things they should be doing now to prepare themselves?
Yeah, if they're planning to purchase, for one, you can go on our website and download the acquisition guide that we have, and it's a booklet that we put together to help walk future owners step by step through the process. The first step to make is a business plan, and I know we've all heard that, and that doesn't have to be a 20-page business plan. A business plan really thinking about your objective, and if you get your eye on a funeral home that you may want to purchase, it's important to get to know the owner of that funeral home and to build a relationship. The owner of a funeral home is the face and the DNA in that community, and it's important to have them on your side. So I think building a relationship with the owner is very important. Understanding the potential value of that business and understanding their financials is very important, and that's where, again, Jeff, you and your team, it's a big part of it, understanding the value, but also understanding as a future owner expenses that are going to be alleviated as a result of your ownership and what your cash flow is going to look like. That's so important. And I could go on for an hour on this. That's a big question, right? But I think the first step is to build a relationship with the owner that you think you may want to purchase, to get to know their business and to see if that's a good fit for you or not.
I think you just gave me an idea for a change makers segment that we'll have you and some other folks on to specifically ask questions. So, Ryan, I think you're up next with the fun part of our interview.
Yeah. So, Tim, with our guests, we started this last year. We do a lightning round of questions. So these are just quick one-word answers. We're going to throw, I think, looks like five questions at you. So we've had some really good responses on here, like Martha Stewart and Peyton Manning as celebrity crushes. So hopefully yours can deliver. But first up, Wrightsville Beach or Figure 8 Island?
Wrightsville Beach.
Push-ups or bench press?
Bench press.
Oh, come on, man. Let's do the push-ups. All right, go ahead.
Coming from the military guy. Yeah, push-ups. All right, celebrity crush.
That's tough.
That's not a celebrity.
Goodness. I really don't know if I have one. Quite honestly. I'll tell you what. What's the actor in Bloodsport? The kickboxer. What's his name? I drew a blank. You guys haven't seen Bloodsport?
No.
You're out?
No.
Well, the people on the show will. It'll come to me in a minute. But he's a kickboxer. Great physique, strong as an ox. It'll come to me. Sorry.
All right. Okay.
I'll look that up, send it to you, and there we go. Almost as good as Peyton Manning, but we don't have his name.
Yeah. It'll come to me.
This will definitely be a blooper, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. You made our 2018 recap episode already. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
On to the next one. Okay. Wolfpack, Tar Heels, Demon Deacons, Blue Devils, or Pirates?
That's easy. Tar Heels.
Tar Heels. Okay.
Oh, Lord.
And last one, best vacation spot.
Best vacation spot. You know, I'm going to have to say I've been around the country. Riceville Beach.
There you go. It's right in your backyard down there. That's a tough place. I've
Right.
had a few afternoons and a few cigars there myself.
Hey, Jean-Claude Van Damme is the name.
There you go.
It came to me.
He just looked it up. So
I looked it up.
This is our first celebrity crush,
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Jean-Claude Van Damme. There you go.
I want you also to look up celebrity crush, but it's okay. We're good to go. All right. So
Is it supposed to be the opposite sex, Jeff? Is that what you're referring to? Or?
No, because we're equal here, whatever you like to say, but you can bet that we're going to have a lot of fun with that in the future here.
I bet you are. I bet you. There's a story behind that. I'm happy to share it later on.
Yeah. Well, to let you know, we had a president of a company that came on, and his was Peyton Manning. So we're all good there. It's cool.
Oh, you're okay. Gotcha. I feel better. Thank you.
So, Tim, we appreciate having you on today, and we look forward to working with you here on Funeral Nation and Live Oak Bank. From your perspective, what's the biggest challenge to funeral professionals today?
It's the one thing that I probably try to speak on the most, and we'll continue to do that in 2018. As an umbrella statement, I think business management is probably one of the most challenging things for a funeral owner today, only because they get into the business because they're passionate about the business, and then they realize that they also have to run and manage a business. And a big part of that business management is employee engagement, employee empowerment, and managing others to do their best. That in itself is an art, and I think it's an area that we can all improve on. Excellent.
Well, you're right on point there. I think, and I agree with you, personnel is our biggest challenge in the industry. It's not cremation. It's not anything. It's managing personnel. So
you're right. I agree.
Well, thanks for being here, and we look forward to seeing you some more. I think we're going to work some stuff out, and definitely we see each other on the circuit. Need to get you out here in the sunny Phoenix and play a little golf. Maybe the three of us can get together, and you can drag somebody along as well.
Well, let's do it, and let's follow up. We'll definitely love to continue to be a part. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
All right. Take care, and thank you for being here.
Thanks, Tim.
All right, guys. We'll see you. Bye.
Fantastic interview. I don't know about Jean-Claude Van Damme, but we're going to have a lot of fun with that one.
Yeah. I'm actually going to start working on that for the future. With between Peyton Manning and Mr. Van Damme, it's going to be pretty interesting. I think we can have some things between those two in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this interview
don't
segment.
Forget Martha.
That's right. Martha Stewart, our very first celebrity crush that we had. Anybody? Chris Farmer brother, Martha Stewart. All right. This interview is brought to us by Sitch Casket Company. And Sitch has been giving away a casket a month for an entire year. Let's roll that promo.
Funeral Nation is sponsored by Sitch Casket. Sitch has changed everything for funeral homes facing declining profits from cremation, with casket quality equal to the top domestic brands but at half the cost or better. Enter now to win a free Sitch casket at sitchcasket.com. Sitch, only your accountant can tell the difference.
Hey, it's really interesting. They've been doing a great job there at Sitch. In fact, they're giving away caskets. Paul Thomas Ayers Hawkins is the co-owner of Hope Valley Hawkins Funeral Service and Cremation in Clinton, North Carolina. And he got an 18-gauge steel casket. So,
can't beat that.
What? I don't know a lot of people giving away caskets. So that's a good thing.
Absolutely not. Everybody likes free, and can't beat a free casket. So, all right, Mr. Commander, that wraps up episode 102. Man, I'm super excited about where we're going this year. We got a lot of big plans and a lot of lives coming up. So really excited just to be able to bring the news and bring the news for free.
We're going to have a lot of live, and next week I hope to have some guys from the Millennial Funeral Directors Group. So y'all stay tuned.
All right. Until next time, have a great effing week.
Out here.